Sam, this is a game that the Giants have to win once again. I mean, you have to do your best to get anywhere close to that 500 mark. If we're going to make a push at this thing and try to get into that last wild card spot, they have to start winning these football games. I mean, you have Zach Wilson and Brian Hoyer, or I said Aiden O'Connell last week. It was Brian Hoyer. Totally forgot he was a Raider. So you have possibly those two quarterbacks the next 2 weeks, both winnable games, and Sauce Gardner and the other Jets starting corner is in concussion protocol. So this is a game that the Giants could really capitalize and try to take advantage of. I know a lot of people might write the Giants off this week, but I really think there's a chance we could pull this one out as well.
Yeah, and the thing is that the Jets are weird because, sometimes, this could be a game that we could win, but it also could be a game that the Jets just completely obliterate us. And I am a little nervous about this defense. I'm not gonna lie. This defense is very good. There's a reason why they are my fantasy defense. They put up the points, and they're coming off of a bye week. No one has to travel. Obviously, we're gonna be playing in the same stadium. But also at the same time, Zach Wilson is not a very good quarterback. And I do think that our defense can do what we did with the Commanders and hold their offense down and, just try and push through the defense and put points up, because the offense has the holes. So the defense needs to utilize that vulnerability. But overall, it could go either way. The Jets did beat the Eagles, and that's a big deal. But also, I don't know. They're a very confusing team because they could be very, very good, but also they're not as good as I think everyone thinks they are. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's the NFL, right? Any given Sunday.
Sure is.
They are coming off 2 wins against the Broncos and the Eagles, and now they're bye week. They've had time to rest up, get a little healthy. Jets are favored by 3 as of right now. Some people are surprised that it's not more. I think it's just about right.
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah. And people forget the Giants lead the all-time series 8-6, yes, but the Jets have won the last 2 regular season matchups. So the Giants are going to be very focused and very calculated, I think. And they're going to be very hyped up to try to win this football game. They don't want to lose to the Jets 3 times in a row. They haven't beat them since the Victor Cruz game in 2011 in a regular season game. Mr. 99-yard touchdown salsa dance.
That's right. That's right.
Christmas Eve 12 years ago.
That's crazy.
It's been that long,
oh my
right?
Gosh. That's insane. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And another thing too, I don't know who starts at quarterback this week, but if it is Daniel Jones, and there's a certain cult of Giants fans that won't like to hear this, Daniel Jones against the Jets, 2019, threw for 308 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's fully capable of 300-yard games and multiple touchdown passes. Fully capable.
Just a matter of doing it.
You know what's really weird, Sam? This might come off as awkward, but when they took Pat Shurmur away from Daniel Jones, it helped with his turnovers, but it hurt his overall game. And I feel like he's been trying to regain that ever since.
I agree. That first year was put a bet on that one, Noah. Put a bet on that one. I think you're gonna win good money. But yeah, I think that we've been almost chasing the magic that was the first year of Daniel Jones's career. And I remember him going up against the Bucs that first game, and he won, and I was like, oh my God, we found him. This is the guy. And it's not the same game. You're right. Yeah. It's interesting. But nonetheless, it's possible. It's just a matter of getting it done. But maybe with this improving offensive line, if Daniel Jones does play, it's very possible he could have 2-3 gosh, even 4 touchdowns. Who's to say? Why not?
He's due. He's certainly
Yeah.
due. Yeah. With the Giants this week, Pinnock is going to have a chip on his shoulder, former Jet. Um, Jets are coming off a bye. They could come out a little slow. Maybe the Giants could take advantage of that. But for me, Sam, you got to pressure Zach Wilson. I mean, that's my first key to the game. I'm looking at an offensive line that has lost Dwayne Brown for the season. They've had to move Mekhi Becton to left tackle, who some people have labeled as a bust. I don't think he's that bad. I just don't know if he's a left tackle. And then Max Mitchell, second-round pick last year out of Louisiana, starting at right tackle. And then you have the rookie Joe Tippmann, at right guard. So I think Dexter Lawrence is going to eat against like a Connor McGovern, a Joe Tippmann. Leonard Williams, too, is a former Jet. I wrote Revenge Game for
Right.
Pinnock, but not Leonard Williams. Shows you what type of fan that I am, right?
We've always thought of Leo as a Giant, though, so we kind
Yeah.
of forget that Jets year. So
We do. He was with them for a few, and then Gettleman traded for him, and he's still here. But I will say the Jets average just 183 pass yards per game. And if Dexter Lawrence gets pressure, that opens up holes for the Giants to come in and get sacks. So I think that's a huge impact of this game. And it could force Zach Wilson into some third and longs and some turnovers, too. I think it starts with pressure, and it starts with stopping Breece Hall. It starts with stopping Breece Hall. Okereke and McFadden have to fill those gaps, help out Leo and Dex up front. Kayvon has to, win his battles, which I think he will. I think this could be a good week for this defense once again. This could be 5 weeks in a row that the defense has showed up and balled out and gives us a chance to win the football game.
Mm-hmm. And that's where the vulnerability, like I was talking about before, this offensive line is where the weakest part of this offense. So that's where we need to put the pressure points on. And we can do it. Like you were saying, Dexter Lawrence can come in here and put Zach Wilson in the ground every other play. He could do it. So that's going to be a big, big part of the game. Like you said, stopping Breece. Breece Hall is he is their run game. There is no other run game. Dalvin Cook only has 109 yards on the season, and their third best running player on their team is Zach Wilson with 98 yards. Breece Hall is the run game. So, if you stop him, that's it. They don't have a run. Zach Wilson can only scramble so much. So, that's definitely going to be a huge thing. And just it's the best bet for us right now, especially with this slow improvement on offense, but it's not there yet. So just don't let the Jets put up points like the way we did with the Commanders last week.
Yeah, I agree. The Jets have a knack of just winning games ugly like we do.
Yes.
Defense controls. They don't score many points, but they win. Brian, risky pick. I like the ambition. Look, Brian, you know how I feel about Breece Hall. I always said that I think he's a better running back than Najee Harris.
Oh.
This was their last year. This was Harris's last year of college. This was Hall's junior year. So Hall's a year younger. This was back in 2020. This was the COVID season. My first year on Brian's show, I said Breece Hall will be a better running back than Najee Harris. And right now that's starting to come to life a little bit.
Yeah. 100%.
I agree. And I think another thing too, obviously protection is key. The Jets do have some forces up front. Quinnen Williams, John Franklin Myers, Quentin Jefferson, who leads them in sacks right now, and Jermaine Johnson off the edge is a huge threat. I mean, you could argue, Sam, the Jets defense up front could own our offensive line in the trenches as well, which is why I think it's pivotal that we get Andrew Thomas back this week, that we're not forced to play guys like Justin Pugh or Tyre Phillips at certain tackle spots on that line.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Williams brothers, Quincy and Quinnen, in and of itself, like those two guys are dominating on this Jets defense. So to have them, again, this defense is they're holding it down. We are very similar teams. That's the thing. We're very, very similar teams. I do think it's going to be a low scoring game, very defensive. Um, but yeah, I just protect whoever is under center. If it's Daniel Jones, if it's Tyrod Taylor, give them the time that you gave them last week. Like, it's possible. It's hard, but it's possible. So just give them that time, and I can see this being a very good game.
Any specific keys you have as well? I know we mentioned a couple so far. Anything additional that you think the Giants need to do to come out on top?
I'll definitely bring up the stat that I found that the Jets are have only been successful 18 times out of the 72 times that they've gone for it, or not gone for it, but have attempted on third down. So make it happen. Get them off the field. Like if they can't convert on third down, that's us getting back on the field. That's us retrieving a punt. That's us giving the opportunity to score again. So if that's, the way that we need to do it, I'd say that that's a pretty big key.
Um, yeah, they got to get off the field on third down. I mean, Washington was 1 for 15 last week, so they did a really good job then. And I think Wink will have a good game plan dialed up. Former DC of the Ravens, he's gone against the Jets a little bit more often than the Giants have
That's true.
prior. So one matchup I'm looking at is Deontay Banks against Garrett Wilson. Matchup of the game right here, hands down. Hands down. I mean, Banks has been battle tested week after week after week, and we've seen it from experience, Sam. Rookie corners struggle. I mean, ask Eli Apple. Ask
He's still
DeAndre Baker.
struggling. Continuously struggling.
7 years later. But Garrett Wilson scares me. He is good. Like, Wilson can get the ball in his hands. He can make people miss. He can turn 5-yard curl route catches into like 40-yard gains, catch and runs. So Garrett Wilson is probably a top 10 receiver in the league, probably on the back half of it right now, but he's up there. He's really, really good. And I think he's going to have a really good game. Huge target. I mean, really, really disturbing on those slant routes as well. He's also an excellent route runner if Wilson has time.
Yeah, 100%. He's a huge, huge part of this offense, if not the majority of this offense. And while we did just praise Deontay Banks for how well he was able to play against a wide receiver one, to be fair, I don't think it's a comparison to say Scary Terry and Garrett Wilson are on a similar playing field. I would argue Garrett Wilson is a better receiver. But nonetheless, we've seen Deontay Banks shut these guys down. And while there might be, not as many times, it can still happen. And the crazy thing about Garrett Wilson and Zach Wilson is that there have been many times on the sidelines, it seems like Garrett Wilson doesn't really like Zach that much. I think he's very upset that this is the situation that he's in. He put all his eggs in the Aaron Rodgers basket, and it was ripped away from him in 75 seconds. So I just think that even though Garrett Wilson doesn't even like, the chemistry is not there, and the fact that they're able to do stuff like that on the field, that's a huge deal. So no matter what's going on the sidelines, Garrett Wilson's going to make the plays, and it's bound to happen. So it's going to be a really good matchup to watch. However, I would agree. I think Garrett Wilson is probably one of the key players to watch in this game.
Who else from the Jets on either side do you think the Giants must keep tabs on if they have any chance of pulling this one off? I know we kind of flirted around the idea of Breece Hall. Do you think that's legit? Do you think Breece Hall has a chance to really control this game? Because I do.
Yeah, I'd say Breece and Garrett are the offense for this game. Big playmakers. in the air and on the ground. And defensively, shout out to Quincy Williams, who has 47 solo tackles this season and two sacks with a forced fumble. Like, Quincy Williams is no joke, and that's also very scary. Going through that are slowly getting better offensive line. But I would say those three guys from the Jets are probably going to be some of the biggest factors in this game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I do think Quinnen Williams is a guy that I'm looking at
Mm-hmm.
because he could dominate. Ben Bredesen and Mark Lewinsky better be on their A game. I know we praised Mark in particular in a previous segment tonight, but him and Ben will have their hands full. Pugh, if he plays at left guard, whoever it might be, McKeithen, all those guys have their hands full. I mean, Quinnen Williams, the Jets defense only gave up 14 points to the Eagles. To the Eagles, a team that runs the ball very effectively. I mean, the tush push, which I think they trademarked to something else now.
The brotherly shove.
Brotherly shove. That's clever.
Like the city of brotherly love.
Yeah.
Brotherly shove. It's very clever. You got to give it to him.
Yeah. Even though I don't like them, that is a good name for the play. I think it's silly that they might consider banning it. I mean, it's a play that they mastered. You can't take that away from them.
I agree. As much as we don't like the Eagles, you can't ban this play just because the Eagles are good at it.
Yeah, right. Quinnen Williams scares me. You mentioned Quincy Williams. I think he's a really good linebacker next to C.J. Mosley. Those two are really awesome to watch. I think Williams is really good in isolation situations. Quincy, that is, in coverage. And then I'm looking at if we don't know if Sauce is going to play. He's still in concussion protocol.
Yes.
Along with the starter opposite him, DJ Reed. Will either of them play? Sauce didn't play against the Eagles. Reed has missed the last 2 weeks. If both guys are out, you're looking at Bryce Hall, Brandon Eccles, Michael Carter II. The Giants, I mean, this might be a Jalen Hyatt game. This could be a game where, hey, Tyrod Taylor, Daniel Jones, whoever it is, go out there and just chuck it. First play of the game, catch them off guard, play action deep, go right at them. So that could really set the tone. And I think Kafka has to, chop up this film, take some notes, and design some plays for Hyatt to have success. I mean, he has success when they go to him.
For sure.
So
I'd love to see that. I would love to see that a lot. And yeah, it's important to note. It took me like a hot second to realize that Bryce Hall and Breece Hall are two different people. Like in the beginning of the season, I was like, wait a second, why do they have Breece Hall on the defense? Like I was confused. Different person. But yeah, I mean, Sauce Gardner is a huge part of their defense, and the fact that they're doing well without him just goes to show that if he does play, we are in for it. So sorry he's in concussion protocol. Kind of hope he stays there for one more week. I don't really want to see Sauce out on the field, but it would be a game changer for them for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to beat the Jets with Sauce on the field, but obviously our chances increase if he is not on the field. That's for sure. Sam, talk to me about the Giants. Who, 3 to 4 guys you think, based off last week, could really do something positive out there this week and play a factor?
Well, I'm definitely going to mention Darren Waller again. I'd love to see him back in the red zone. I think that, he's finally starting to feel out his role. He's finally starting to feel out what works for him. And especially if Tyrod is on the field again this weekend, they are familiar with one another now, and they've made these connections, in the Bills game and in the game last week against the Commanders. So I am thinking that Tyrod is going to be keeping a lookout for Darren. I'll throw our offensive line in the mix here. I would love to see Mark Lewinsky continue to do well. I'll give him that formal apology that I've said a few weeks ago that I was like, we'd be better if he wasn't on the team. I was incorrect. You really stepped up to the plate and have completely proved me wrong, which I'm very happy about. I'm happy to hear that Glowinski is doing well. And I'll just say whoever's under center, Daniel Jones, Tyrod Taylor, whoever it is, we're going to be keeping an eye on them. Daniel Jones, if he's the one coming in, making sure he doesn't get more hurt than he already is. We need him to be 100% if he's on the field. We can't have him getting more of a neck injury than he already has. But Tyrod Taylor, like you said, he's been doing well, and I'm happy to see him on the field. He's won a game for us, which I'm very, very happy about, and he can get the job done.
Yeah, I agree. I also think that Mark Lewinsky, Ben Bredesen, those two play a big factor in this game. And apologies, Brian, I misunderstood. He was replying to Noah's comment about the risky pick on picking a New York team to win. I just got some news from the Kay Adams show, and this is just from earlier today. The weekly show Daniel Jones didn't seem too confident that he would get cleared for contact yet. So it could be another Tyrod Taylor game again this week. If we're being real, I know his goal is to return against the Jets, but remember, his goal was to return against the Commanders on Sunday, and that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So the more I think about it, I'm starting to think this is another Tyrod game, which I'm okay with personally. His escapability is great, makes plays down the field. At 13, 14-year vet, a former AFC East starter for Buffalo, I'm all for it.
Hey, he brought them to the playoffs for the first time in 17 years. You got to give the man credit.
Yeah. You want to know something crazy, Sam? This just popped up on my phone. There's a tweet that says the 2013 NFL draft may officially be the worst draft of all time. Out of the 32 first-round picks of that draft, 4 of them are still in the league. This is really bad. Lane Johnson on the Eagles.
Who was the first pick in that draft?
Eric Fisher, Chiefs tackle, who retired.
Oh.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So Lane Johnson for the Eagles, DeAndre Hopkins to the Titans, and then Cordell Patterson for the Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
The 4th one was Justin Pugh to the Giants.
I love that. Justin Pugh making his 2013 resurgence.
And all the other 28 are out of the league.
That's insane. That's crazy. Only because of retiring or injuries or
retiring. A lot of them were just busts.
That's wild.
To be honest with you, it was just a bad year for.
Who else is in that? Do you have the list in front of you?
Barkevius Mingo, Jonathan Cooper. Yeah, Deion Jordan to the Dolphins, Star Lotulelei to the Bills.
Oh my god,
this is a bad list. This is really bad.
That's a bad list.
I know we totally just went off script here, but I'm all for this right now. This is a bad list.
I need to visualize this in front of me right now.
Yeah. Luke Jokel is another one. Tackle for the Jaguars. Who the hell is that?
I don't even know some of these names.
Yeah.
Kenny Vaccaro. I remember Kenny Vaccaro.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Pugh. Obviously. Kyle Long. Gotta give Kyle Long the credit there.
Eddie Lacy.
Mm-hmm.
Travis Kelce went in the 3rd round.
Oh,
Ezekiel Ansah, Tavon Austin, D. Milner, Chance Warmack, DJ Fluker is a free agent, DJ Hayden, EJ Manuel, Jarvis Jones, Eric Reed, Tyler Eifert, retired, Xavier Rhodes, recently retired, Jorn Warner, Sylvester Williams, Alec Ogletree, Matt Elam, Giovanni Bernard, Manti Te'o.
I was going to say, this is the Manti Te'o draft. Geno Smith.
Robert Woods.
Wait, Geno Smith and Travis Kelce are from the same draft class?
Yeah.
That is bananas.
Yeah.
I think if that was like a trivia question and somebody asked me that, I'd say that's 100% false.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Uh, Incredible. Just incredible the way things transpire. The not for long league strikes again. Um, but back to the script and the show. I think who I'm watching this week is I just really think that Kayvon Thibodeau has to play a factor in this game. You know, I mean, 5.5 sacks, 5 tackles for loss. I had a couple drinks in me pregame Sunday at the Commanders game, and I kind of crapped on him a little bit. I don't know why. I said a lot of his sacks have come in coverage sacks, and I don't know if he'll get much today if he's matched up against Charles Leno. And then Charles Leno proceeds to get 3 penalties in the first half, and Thibodeau just eats him alive. So I'll gladly say I was wrong about that one, and I'm happy to say that. But he's my player to watch. I mean, I got his jersey. This is the only jersey I've purchased from the Giants in the past 3 years. I'm very high on him, and that's why I said that about him. I'm high on him. I'm going to be hard on him. I want him to succeed. He's just an awesome dude, and I really think he's going to succeed this week against the Jets. I think he has to pressure Zach Wilson, get to him. He should have had a pick 6 against the Commanders this past week as well. That would have put the game to night, Sam. If he picks that off and runs back in, Giants are up 2 possessions, and yeah.
Night. That's so funny.
And then Bobby O. I know we love to talk about defensive guys on this show because that's who's playing the best. Infiltrate that offensive line like you mentioned. I think with Bobby O too, he's so good in pass coverage. We haven't really mentioned tight ends as much. We didn't talk about Tyler Conklin or CJ Uzama. I mean, those guys eat up the middle of the field, Conklin in particular. I think Bobby O will do just fine matched up against the Micah McFadden, Isaiah Simmons, whoever. I'd love to see more of Isaiah Simmons. That's a guy I want to see more of. And Cordell Flott in the slot. He's come on real nicely. So all those guys I'm excited to see. But anybody else you think could realistically make obviously Andrew Thomas after missing 6 weeks? That's pretty much it for me.
Yeah, no, I think that's really it. I guess I think this is more of just like a personal thing, and it has nothing really to do with the Giants. But I kind of am a little sad that CJ Uzomah died on the Jets. Like he's there, and he's plays, but after he left Cincinnati, he just kind of fell off the deep end, and we don't really see a lot from him like the way we did in Cincinnati.
I think the injuries have really hurt him. I know he had a bad injury with the Bengals, but you're right. I think that year the Bengals made the Super Bowl, he was a big part of that.
Yeah, he was huge, and then he got traded to the Jets. I thought he was going to be a huge deal on the Jets, and some people don't even realize he's on the Jets. I don't know. Just had to throw that out there, but I think we've hit everybody.
And they also have Jeremy Rucker knocking on the door, Long Island native, tight end number 3. So Uzama's time as a Jet could be numbered if
True.
Rucker develops the way they want him to. So,
True.
But Rob Saleh, solid head coach. He's done a good job coaching that defense up. They're legit. They've won some big games. Give him some credit. Give Joe Douglas some credit. But realistically speaking, we don't know who's on the injury report yet for either team because we're doing the show on a Tuesday. So appreciate everyone's flexibility tonight. Comment section, questions with us, hanging out. But Sim, I want to get to your game prediction here. I'm a little nervous to ask who do you think comes out on top this week? I mean, I know what my answer was definitely going to be 24 hours ago, but since the Daniel Jones news, he might not play. I'm starting to second guess that a little.
You know what? I'll flow with the win from last week, and I'll go with the Giants this week because it is a bit of a toss-up game. I do feel like it is a game that we could win. The line is 3, right? So I do believe it is going to come down to some sort of touchdown. It's going to be a very defensive game. I'll say 14-10 Giants.
Very, very low scoring.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know last week I predicted 13-10 Giants, and it was 14-7
14-7.
final. So in that point area. What's up, Tracy? Thank you so much for the comment. Just in time for our predictions. For me, yeah, so the more I think about it, I think I'm going to go the other way with the Jets here. Not that I want to, of course, but I just think that Breece Hall could really dominate, keep the offense off the field. Backup quarterback. If Tyrod is the starter, and this is nothing against Tyrod or anything, it's tough for a backup quarterback to look great 3 weeks in a row. I mean, the last 2 weeks,
That's true.
the Bills defense, Greg mentioned it two weeks ago. They ran that stupid single high formation that they like to run, where they offload the box, and there's not enough defenders on the weak side, and the Giants took advantage of that. And then last week, the Commanders game, they don't have a good secondary. They don't. Marty was talking about that last week. I think the Jets are a little better. I really want to pick the Giants. Wishful thinking has the Giants winning 14-13. But the more I think about it, if Tyrod starts, if both corners are back for the Jets, I have the Jets winning this one. I'm going to go final score of 16-14 Jets.
Okay.
That is my prediction. So
we had to go half and half here.
all right, folks. Yeah, I don't want to sit here and pick the Giants every single week. I mean, this is a tough game. I'm confident that they're going to do well and potentially win, but there's a side of me that thinks maybe you shouldn't pick them, Tom. Could be reverse luck. Could be reverse fortune. That is my hope. All right, Sam, any final thoughts before we sign off?
No, I think we hit every player, we hit every key. I'm excited for the Snoopy Bowl. It's a Giants Jets game. We only get it once every 4 years.
That's right. Giants Jets every 4 years. I'll be watching the game in Florida with both my parents, who are Jets fans.
Nice.
So that should be fun. And I'm really looking forward to this game just because I think if the Giants win, we're right back in the mix at 3-5. Look at the Vikings last night on Monday Night Football. They beat arguably the best team in the NFC. They beat them, and they're back to 3-4. They're one game under.
Skull.
They're in second place now. Skull. That's right. Yeah, but overall, if the Giants win, the NFC East is much better than the NFC North. I think right now for the Giants, it's more of a wild card that they're looking at. And if you beat the Jets and the Raiders, you're back at 4-5. Might be a little on the optimistic side of things, but I'm all for it.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah. Well, let's hope we're recapping another win this week. Sam, thank you so much for your time as always, coming on and chopping wood here on the show. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the fans for tuning in. If you want to catch us, make sure you check us out on all of our social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. We will definitely have our preview up late this week, probably sometime on Friday. But on behalf of Sam Cardona, the girl who talks sports, I'm Tom Scavetta. Appreciate you all watching. Let's go Big Blue. And without further ado, let's go Big Blue.